Hi guys, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Remake video. Today's video is based on the new theme song trailer that was released several days ago. I know it's a bit later than usual, but reason being I've actually got a special guest today, and it was just a case of us getting together and finding a time we're both available, and that is TheRealNanaki. If you don't know him, he's on Twitter, and he's as you can probably tell by the name, he's a fellow Final Fantasy VII fanatic. How are you, mate?
Great, and honored to be here. Thank you, Roy.
Great stuff. We know this is going to be quite a long video. Given the extra time we've had to prepare for this video, we've actually come up with, well, we've noticed a few things that obviously other people might not have seen. Let's get straight into it. So the only place we can really start is, you know, these trailers that we've seen for the last year or so have always gone with certain nicknames. We have the Tokyo Game Show trailer, we have the Game Awards trailer, and this trailer's no different. It's been dubbed the theme song trailer, so there's no better place to start than with the theme song itself. It's called Hollow by Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah, it's a great song. I can actually say that every time I listen to it, it only just gets better.
Yeah, it's got one of those, well, with the original, every song it was just such an addictive listen, and I don't think this will be any different, really.
How fantastic is it that Nobuo came back to do that, even though people were doubting it? I'm so glad he's reprised his role and brought us such a unique and original song.
Me too. Glad to see him back. So the actual trailer starts off in Nibelheim, you know, the water tower scene, the promise, so to speak. And we see a young Tifa and Cloud, and it's fair to say Cloud's voice is very masculine for a 14-year-old boy.
I would definitely agree with that. And you have a 13-year-old Tifa, and we all know she grows up quite quickly, doesn't she?
Well, yeah, she does. It's fair to say. But Nibelheim itself, though, visually same as in '97, visually stunning. They've kept that, you know, that greeny blue starry sky. They've just captured that moment perfectly, haven't they?
Yeah, it's almost like you can see the Mako reactor, Mako in the air off in the distance as it rises up to the sky.
Can't wait to see more of that. From the Nibelheim scene, we move straight into, well, we go to a Genova reactor. There are similarities to the Mount Nibel flashback, but we've come to terms with the fact it's not Mount Nibel, and we've got a feeling of, like, obviously where that is and how it progressed to that point, haven't we?
Yeah, I think you know, through some of your research, I think you've come across something that is, in my opinion, the most likely explanation.
Both of us, not just me. You had a good input as well. Well, from what we've gathered anyway, when you think about the Mount Nibel flashback and what happened, obviously anybody who's played the game will know what happened. Anybody who doesn't want to know, we won't say what it is. So what we think in light of what happened at Mount Nibel is that Hojo has moved Geneva somewhere else, and we kind of think that somewhere else is within the Shinra HQ.
With the Dirge of Cerberus, we saw Reactor 0 and Sector 0. Even within the original game, there is mention of Sector 0, which is within the center of Midgard, which would be the headquarters and an underground reactor.
Mm-hmm. As you say, in the Dirge of Cerberus, it's referenced as the underground, and it is a reactor underneath the Shinra HQ. So it kind of makes sense that, you know, he's rushed him back there. That's his base of operations as well. So to have a similar, because one thing you noticed with that particular scene was it had the pods outside. Well, on the, you know, outside where Jenna was kept as well, didn't it?
Yeah, you see the same type or similar, maybe a redesign, a reimagining. This is the remake, you know, so these remade look of the pods that we see at Mount Nibel, we see them here. To me, it looks like Professor Hojo is continuing his experiments there at Reactor 0.
Just something we've come across. It's worth a mention, isn't it? So, moving swiftly on, well, the first of many of characters that we see within this trailer comes to a light, and we see Reeves. We see him begging President Shinra to reconsider blowing up Sector 7. you know, it's just a clear sign that he doesn't agree with Shinra's agenda.
Yeah, definitely. And you can, what I think better than any character we've seen so far is you can see it. Not only can you hear it, but you can see it in his facial expressions better than I think any character model we've seen so far. I'm really impressed with the way that they have designed his facial expressions.
Yeah, I must admit I did. Yeah, you could feel his pain, so to speak. There's not really much else to say on Reeves. It was just, as you say, they nailed the character. He's come across exactly how we obviously all imagined he will. And then that moves us on to another new character, which I think part was... they've actually delivered more than they did with Reeves, in my opinion. We got to see Scarlet first, the head of weapon development at Shinra. She was getting a little bit too excited at the sign of the materia being made, wasn't she?
Well, it makes sense now why she wanted the huge materia so bad.
She's quoted in saying, "Your timing is impeccably atrocious," and it just shows a sign of her dominance within the Shinra. And to have her feet up on a soldier, using him as a footrest.
Gives a whole new meaning to the word foot soldier.
I like that. And we didn't even practice that one. That was pretty good. But yeah, it's a she again. She is being depicted beautifully, I think it's fair to say. And I, for one, cannot wait to see Tifa slap her silly. Moving swiftly on to another new character. Do you know what? It is actually worth noting. These characters that we're seeing now are the ones that were like a few months back, and I don't know if this trailer was put together to cover those leaks, but another character that we've seen back then and is now obviously in the trailer, so we can talk about it, was Palmer. Again, I think personally they've nailed the character. There was a quick reference about his love for lard, i.e. butter, and he comes across as that squirmy little guy that will run away at any sign of trouble, doesn't he?
Yeah, just like we can't wait to see Tifa slap Scarlet, I can't wait to see him get hit by a truck.
By a truck. So away from new characters, we actually see the Honeybee Inn in all its glory. From what we can tell, it's gone from just a small kind of brothel to a full-on cabaret stroke Moulin Rouge strip club bar. It's took kind of like a Las Vegas-y feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've definitely scaled it up in every way, and I am so glad they have. It's not just something off in the corner. They've appearing to bring it full front and center of the stage, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. And you picked up on the owner. Well, we think it's the owner, Muki, the guy who takes Sense8. He looks completely different from 97, but the way his character is perceived, in the way he's flirting with Cloud, when he says perfection, we kind of putting one and one together and getting two, hopefully, but we think that's Muki.
Yeah, wouldn't that be brilliant? I think they've done such an amazing job with that area. I know a lot of people were concerned about it, but I think I think this is what they meant by modernizing it, and I really like what they've done.
Yeah, I agree. One particular thing that we actually picked up on, and I'm sure many people did, we noticed that Cloud himself was transformed inside. Now, at first glance, I thought there was a whole new quest line, we wasn't going to find the likes of the wig, the dress. I thought that would all have changed, but doesn't necessarily mean just because he gets ready inside the Honeybee Inn that that's the case. It just could be the fact that they're making the whole makeup scene within the Honeybee Inn more relevant and making the Honeybee Inn more relevant within the game, doesn't it?
I think that's what they're definitely going for, and I still think that our actions are going to impact what kind of dress, what kind of wig, what kind of stuff that we get from those quests, and it's going to change Cloud's appearance. One thing that I picked up on is during the makeup scene being applied in the dress and everyone's dancing, Cloud doesn't appear to have earrings, but then when we cut to the Don Corneo scene, which we'll talk about later, he actually has earrings. So I wonder if in one run the developers didn't get the earrings, and perhaps in another run where they filmed the Corneo scene, they actually picked those up.
Mm-hmm. Because, well, if you think about it, the dress itself isn't really appealing. It's just a black and white dress. If anything, it looks quite Catholic and It's not as burlesque as Aerith's, for instance. So it kind of might just be like the base dress that they're giving away at the moment. And yeah, as you say, there might be more, of a chance to customize that later in the game. So Honeybee Inn, more relevant, great, adds more depth to the story, adds more depth to the game. And we got a few glimpses of Wall Market itself, and it just looked slummy, but it looked amazing as well, didn't it?
So much character. I'm really looking forward to a night and day cycle of some kind. I don't know if it'll be triggered by events or what, but we know at some point we're going to see the Wall Market during the day, because in a previous trailer, when Tifa is doing pull-ups and Cloud is doing squats, somewhere in there we can actually see it's daylight out. So I am fascinated by the Wall Market and how beautiful it looks with the lanterns at night. I wonder what it's going to look like during the day.
So night and day cycle confirmed?
I think it's confirmed, at least to the degree that we're going to have a night and day, whether that's by the amount of time you're playing or if that's triggered by events, kind of like within Spider-Man PS4. I'm not sure, but it's exciting to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had the cycle within Final Fantasy 15, didn't they? So it kind of makes sense if they're bringing out new games and obviously modernizing it to obviously have the new game technology. One thing that has been introduced into the likes of RPGs is a day and night cycle, so that would make a lot of sense. After we have a little glimpse of Wall Market, it comes on to Don Corneo, and for me, I've said it to you, I just can't see past this character being Mark Hamill.
and given his silence, I mean, if it wasn't him, wouldn't he just come forward and say it?
If it's not on his radar, maybe not, but I suppose we're just all living in hope that it is him, and
yes,
I'm already sold. If it isn't, someone's pulling me leg, I'm telling you. And actually, that moves us nicely on to actually a new character, which we've obviously seen before, and that is Roche. We get to have a second look at him, and I think it's clear to say he is going to be Cloud's archenemy. He's quoted in saying, "You know what I want, a second dance," which you picked up on as well, and and that does suggest there's going to be multiple fights with Cloud.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be getting multiple fights here, and the nature of the fights, I'm guessing the first one is the one that we saw on the motorcycles. So I think we're going to get some sort of, as he calls it, a dance. And I think this is probably the second time we see him, and I'm of the opinion we're probably going to see him again.
Mm-hmm. And I came up with the notion that it's going to be a bit similar to the way Cypher worked in Final Fantasy VIII for Squall, like a repeat antagonist.
I think that's the perfect way to put it, is just like Final Fantasy VIII was with Cypher.
Mm-hmm. Right, we're moving on to your namesake, the real Nanaki. This was, I think, a lot of people's highlight when we got to see Nanaki, aka Red 13, in all his glory. Oh, well, we do want to talk about him being playable. We've noticed a strong reference, but before we get into that, let's just think of Nanaki and, visually, his old English accent. He comes out with the quote, "I am what you see before you, nothing more." How did you feel?
I got shivers. He, obviously the character, is my namesake, and he's my favorite character. What I love about him in his reveal, it was subtle, but we got more information packed in to his reveal than the bigger reveals that we've had of other characters.
Yeah, they really have. Well, he was the one character that everybody wanted so much information on, so people have been dissecting everything from this trailer. One of the first things I picked up on was the old English accent. He sounds very much like a historian who would be in a library and reading scrolls, and he's got that old man feel to it. And again, it's just another character that I think that they have absolutely hit the nail on the head with.
Yeah, he's like a philosopher. I love it. He sounds perfect, even though it's not Matt Mercer. That was confirmed. He confirmed it himself on Twitter, but nonetheless, whoever it is, they're doing a phenomenal job. His tattoos look perfect. I love how they got the blue feather to contrast, his red fur and his tail. I mean, wow. I mean, the graphics, that they are implementing here to show that tail and that flame is just, it's beautiful.
Visually stunning, wasn't it? And to be honest as well, from, again, this was another character that was leaked, you know, previously, and I was a little bit worried by the screenshots. He didn't look quite right, did he, in the screenshots that we see?
A little bit more like a test subject than Naki we would like to remember.
All right, and finally, this is the bit we obviously only, well, yourself worked out today. I'm going to give you full credit to this because I didn't notice it. I didn't have the keenest of eye like yourself. You noticed something very intriguing that would be a strong reference to the fact that we will be able to play with the Nanaki at some point.
Yeah, I was talking with my friend Chip Noir, and he noticed that Nanaki was wearing a collar. So I started looking at all the screens with him and just going through very slowly. And if you look very carefully, just only for the briefest of seconds, on the back of his collar, there is materia equipped. So it looks like instead of a mithril clip, he's going to be wearing a mithril collar. And it looks like that's going to be his weapon of choice, his collars.
How cool is that? Screenshot on screen, hopefully for everybody, and you can just see where that was. But as I say, Nanaki came to me with this, and I was just blown away with the observation. And all right, yeah, it might just be a reference to the fact, you know, that he's going to have materia equipped, but I think that it's a strong reference that he is going to be a playable character, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I can't wait to get a spiked dog collar and be able to use that as well.
Right, and another thing that what you noticed as well, straight after that particular scene, we see the moment Cloud confronts Sephiroth, quote unquote, as he slices the bridge, and again, you come up to something really interesting. You can actually see Nanaki in this particular scene. I'll put a screenshot up now. And also you see the team, including Nanaki, falling off the bridge with Cloud when Sephiroth slices it, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's hard to see because you're focusing on Cloud, but in the background, if you pay close enough attention, you can see the team sliding down as they fall and the bridge collapses down below.
Moving on, we then get a quick glimpse at another new character, Hojo. Again, it was another character that was previously leaked, and it's clear to say he is that creepy character that we perceived him to be.
Yeah, the only question I have left is he going to be wearing that lab coat on the beach again?
It wouldn't be ideal, let's put it that way. Next thing we got to see was the Heligunner battle scene. We started, obviously this is where the trailer starts to ramp up a bit. There was a few notable mentions. We got a first look at some new weapons, didn't we?
Yeah, we got to see Cloud's mithril saber, which was really awesome to finally get to see that. And a new weapon for Barret. It looks kind of like a modified version of the missing score, but it's missing, no pun intended, the exhausts and the magazine clips, a few things like that.
It could be, and it could be upgradable.
That's true.
You never know. They could make weapons upgradable, and you could get it early and not be able to maximize its potential till further down the line. Just a thought.
That's a very interesting concept. I mean, because we already know that they are going to be upgradable, but what we don't know is how much do the aesthetics change when we do upgrade them. So that could very well be spot on.
And there was also a new weapon, well, a new part of Tifa's outfit as well. We noticed she had a new gauntlet on. It
looked like wings of an angel, which, you know, I think suits her perfectly, you know, her final limit break, final heaven. So I think maybe that's an homage to that.
And it was the first time we got to, well, it was the first look at Leviathan as well. So that's confirmed. We don't usually see him or obtain him, should I say, until we get to Wutai.
Yeah, so my guess is that Shinra stole it from Wutai during the Wutai War, and during one of our missions, probably at a reactor, we steal it back, and now on our way up, we finally get to see it in use. And if you look closely, even though there isn't a summon bar in the first scenes against the Heligunner, there is, once Leviathan appears, we do see a red materia icon next to Cloud's name, which we don't see in any other trailers for any other summons. So I think it's possible that summons might have different mechanics based on the summon.
Yeah, because it kind of makes, well, I say it kind of makes sense. If, for instance, we can control Ifrit, Shiva, we couldn't control Leviathan because it basically, maybe some summons have got different playabilities.
Yeah, I think so. And even back in 1997, the summons, some of them had different mechanics, like Chocomog had 2 different versions. Odin had 2 different versions of attacks. Based on the strength of the summon, they would affect your stats differently. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that during this remake, the summons don't all operate the same way.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Chocomog there. We got to see that in action as well. And usually we don't see this summon until we reach the Chocobo farm.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how we are acquiring all of these summons, any one of them, because we didn't get a single summon until we left and got to the farm and acquired Chocomog. So it's going to be interesting to see how we get any of these.
We're getting to the back side of the trailer now. Moved on quite rapidly from this point. We've seen Sephiroth disperse into a purpley blue smoke. We kind of think it's being cleverly spliced together to make it look like he or she is turning into the Jennifer form, but as you pointed out, you think that's not the case.
Yeah, no, when we look at the scene, you can clearly see that when Sephiroth disappears, it's in the office of the president.
Yeah, you can see the carpet, can't you?
Yeah, and the desk behind him. And so then when it cuts to, all of a sudden, now you see Jenova. It's a huge cavern. It's gigantic. This room is immense in size. It's not an office. Not that the president's office is small, but it's 5 times smaller than this new area with Jenova. That area is huge, and it appears to be underground, which plays into the idea that we are going to be in Sector 0. We're going to be in Reactor 0, which is underground, and I think that's where we are fighting this Sephiroth or this Jenova.
And also, if that green glow in the background that we can see in the Jenova fight scene is like a river of Mako, that also furthers our Reactor 0 theory, is closer to the Earth's core where Mako resides. And next is just a quick splicing of quite a lot of new fighting locations, probably all post to the Sector 7 plate dropping. And we did get to see a first glimpse at Barrett's atomic scissors melee weapon as well.
Yeah, not only that, we got to see him using it on the Vargid police, that enemy that looks like a upright squid with a bunch of eyes. And that's significant too, because that enemy does not appear in the Shinra headquarters until after Jenova's escaped. And so I think that at this point, again, Barrett is underground. You can see he's clearly underground, but we're seeing a Shinra headquarters enemy that is released after Jenova has also escaped. So I think this goes back to Sector 0, Reactor 0, underground. And that's why you see Barrett alone in this area, but in that Jenova fight, we see all the other characters together without Barrett. So I think that's what we're looking at, is post-Jenova release, Jenova the Vargid police enemy, and Barrett is fighting him underground.
Mm-hmm. And we got a look at Cloud's new Blade Beam limit break as well.
Looked beautiful. I don't think it's a limit break anymore, when it looks that good, it doesn't need to be.
No, of course not. The motorbike chase scenes changed a little bit as well. You've got the same, obviously, Daytona motorbike and the little car that everybody else travels in, but there's also a helicopter chasing them now as well.
Do you think we'll be able to use Barrett's machine gun from the car?
Well, it maybe makes a lot of sense, because how else would you get rid of a helicopter chasing you down? And we also got a brief look at the Shinra HQ. We've seen the inside of the building, and we noticed that the staircase is back.
Yeah, not only that, but people are running at different paces. You got Tifa on floor 29, and you got Barrett on floor 24.
I think that's a little reference to the original, because if you remember, Tifa was always running ahead of Cloud, and Barrett was always struggling behind, so I kind of think that's a little iconic-y moment, which was subtly dropped in there. Also, a little observation you made as well about when Cloud actually falls, and he's obviously falling down into the church. You notice he puts his hand behind his back to grab his grapple, doesn't he?
Yeah, if you slow it down enough, you can see the grapple before he turns over. And that makes sense. I think they've done a lot of things to make this game more practical. How does he not die? Well, he has a grappling hook now, so that answers that question.
Yeah. They left that bit out in '97 because I think one of the first things I thought when I played that game was, well, surely if he fell all that way he would have died. Oh no, the flowers cushioned his fall. No, he had he had the grapple. Yeah. So then, as I say, the trailer starts to come to an end. We see the plate fall. We see Barrett, Tifa, and Cloud escape via it's a zip line now and not a crane cable, isn't it?
Not only that, we finally get to see Barrett without his glasses, which is really cool. I don't know how he gets them back, though, towards the end, but that scene with, them holding on to him, he doesn't have the glasses anymore, everyone's being crushed. It's all every piece is gonna build to such a climax, and it's gonna be so emotional.
Definitely, 100%. The trailer finishes when we see the Watchmen of Fate surround the Shinra HQ. We don't know exactly what that implies, whether it's something to do with them saving Aerith, something to do with Jennifer, but from that moment on, it's clear that Aerith clearly knows more about her heritage. But that, by all means, that is definitely going to be endgame content. It's going to leave us on the edge of our seat. It's going to leave us wanting more, and I suppose that's what they're trying to create, but that was basically the whole trailer in a nutshell. And as I said previously, I think every new character that was obviously leaked previously that they brought into this trailer was depicted beautifully. And, the whole trailer has just got me so excited for April. I don't know about yourself.
April cannot come soon enough.
Great stuff. Well, that is all we've got time for. I know this has gone on a bit longer than obviously usual, and I hope and if anybody did stick around, thank you so much for obviously supporting the video. And I'm sure Nanaki would love to hear from you all. He's very, very active on Twitter with other Final Fantasy VII fans, so there will be a link down below. But do you want to tell them your handle?
Yeah, you can find me at TheRealNanaki on Twitter, and I love to engage with people who are fans of Final Fantasy VII and other RPGs.
Yeah, of course, because that's why you're here. That's how we ended up speaking about it and wanted to do this video. But I'm so happy that you joined me today, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. And yeah, as I say, guys, that's all for today. And until next time, take care.